Good morning. Our first item today is the appointment of election boards and compensation rates. So if I can have both of our elections directors step up. Thank you guys for being here, Scott and Ray. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I want to thank you for your time this morning. We do have one agenda item before you today, which is, just as you said, was the appointment of the election boards and the compensation rates. But we also do have a presentation to provide you an update on our preparations for the upcoming presidential preference election.
Fabulous.
So item number one will be on the 5th slide of the packet that we go through. So we just want to start with saying we've been very busy the last few weeks since last time we saw you, making preparations from hiring, training. Early voting started last week, so we're already starting to receive ballots, and we had early voting going on. I am going to turn over the first few slides of this presentation to Ray after we get through where we are in the election cycle. And right now we are in that early voting period. The items highlighted red are where we are, and we're coming up quickly on our March 10th jurisdictional elections, so that's our Chandler and Tempe voters. We do have 4 voting locations for those voters. They include McTech, our McTech Tabulation Center, which is just down the street, Mesa. We also have Pyle, which is in Tempe, and then we also have a voting location in the Chandler City Hall for those voters. And then on March 11th, we do recommend that voters return their ballots for the presidential preference election to us by that date, or put them in the mail. That's the further or closest date to the election that the post office will guarantee that we will be able to receive them by March 17th at 7 p.m. So just that reminder for voters out there. We do have we were alerted in the last just over a week ago that we will have that March 15th Democratic debate hosted here in Phoenix, which is great for voters. However, it might mean that people want to hold on to their ballots a little bit longer, and we actually are okay with that. That is the great thing with the new tabulation equipment. We should be able to still tabulate those. Normally we do encourage voters to return those ballots as soon as possible, but because we're not a second chance voting state, if they were to return those and one of their candidates were to fall out, they wouldn't be able to get a new ballot. So if those voters want to hold on, we can make those accommodations.
Biggest question we're all getting right now.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through the presentation. But at this point, I want to turn it over to my co-director, Mr. Valenzuela, to talk a little bit more about eligible voters, voter registration, and early voting.
Great. Welcome, Ray.
Chairman, members of the board, as you can see in this chart, I mean, obviously we're wonderfully so growing our registration. In this particular one, it's specific to the Democratic Party because that's what we're focused on for the presidential preference. So we just want to point out that we are actually on board with or par with what we had indicated or estimated. I think we were at the 735,000.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, in our Election Day and Emergency Voting Plan, we had forecasted that the total high-end registration numbers would be between 720 and 739,000 voters. And I think there's still a little bit of processing left to do because the voter registration deadline was last Tuesday, but we're coming in right in between that forecast that we made.
So that's good to validate that the data-driven decisions that we've made in the plan ahead of time are kind of coming to fruition and matching up. But the key thing to point out here is that in this voter registration, and that we did increase the Democratic Party registration by 24,000 within this since January 1 up until now. So obviously it's built towards probably the excitement that you have to be a Democrat, but also that this election's coming up. So it is a substantial increase, but with that we've been able to accommodate as far as the permanent early voting what went out, 585,000 Democrats on the permanent early voting list.
So a quick question, Ray, is that indicative more of new voters that have turned 18, or is that independents switching their registration to Democrats?
Chairman, members of the board. It actually is a combination of. So that 24,000 is, for the most part, is modifications from voters that either came from the OTH or some other party into that. The exact amount, I think we had, I think if I'm not mistaken, there was about 6,000 that they had referenced that were possibly new, but the majority are coming from modifications.
Okay.
And we do, and I do have some numbers if you're interested in, with regards to the Republican Party itself and the OTH Party. They too have grown. As an example, the Republican Party had 6,000 newly registered voters. It's not as substantial as 24, but part of that we believe is the push towards a Democratic election. So the tide is rising for most, but the Democrats seen the largest increase, obviously because of the presidential preference.
Mr. Chairman, Ray, correct me if I'm wrong, or Mr. Valenzuela, but in February alone, I think there was 18,000 voters that switched their party to be eligible for this election. So they're registered under another party. I don't know if we have the specifics on whether that is Independent, Republican, Libertarian, but then they switched their party to Democrat to be eligible for this election, just in February alone.
Okay, great, thank you.
To close out the registration end of it, Chairman, members of the board, the total we have and what we would be looking for is that within that 735,000. I do want to point out, if you have a question, we show the chart here that we had a little drop in the registration. That's our normal registration verification list maintenance, where you go in on January 1, anybody who's been not or deactivated address bad for the last 4 years, then they get basically canceled or moved over to the deactivated status. So that's a little spike down there, but again, we're picking back up based on this particular election and the drive that. The last thing I have as far as turnout, I just wanted to point out, tied to this is the March Chandler and Tempe. We had approximately 220,000 eligible Chandler and Tempe. We have about 10% back from those jurisdictions, which is about par because they've only had the ballots in their hand for about 6 days. The presidential preference election we just mailed this past Wednesday, and so voters started getting those ballots probably Friday, Saturday, and so they only had it in their hands for 1 to 2 days. We've yet to see any major return rate. I actually just looked this morning and we had 600 back. So again, a lot of it is, again, they just got it Saturday, Sunday, but we're hoping today will tell us whether or not they're holding them. This kind of says they are, but again, we'll keep you updated on that particular information. Then the next slide is early voting. It's just talking about, it's specific to, and just to inform yourselves and the public that the new ID at the polls has now extended itself based on new legislation into the early voting process. So that is in place, has been, and will continue to through this cycle. And it's the biggest part is that on top of that is we have also implemented some efficiencies as far as in that process. So we, I won't elaborate here, but just know that we do have a lot of, based on the board's assistance with this, we've had a consultant come in and look at some of our early voting processing, so that we're hoping to be able to speed up not only if we have late returns or people holding ballots, but we're looking at things that will at the least double probably our efficiencies, with tabulation going from 3,000 to 6,000 ballots an hour. So again, just know that that consultant is there today in-house, and walking with us is the perfect election to be establishing those efficiencies to, again, get us to that best-in-class state. We do have some special programs that have been rolled out, or part of this, the military and overseas voter, UOCAVA, those ballots went out already. We had approximately 1,800 that went out with those military and overseas. We're actually starting to see some of those returns. And then our special election boards are ramping up to contact the various facilities, veterans homes, nursing homes, and we're getting those people scheduled to have assistance come out. The key things here is that we do have currently 9 vote centers open. So around the valley, individuals, and we demographically have spread those out so individuals can begin voting early now. And this is a phased rollout. And that will, on March 6th, we will, or on March 7th, my apologies, we will actually open additional vote centers, but with regards to what we're calling, or the recorders offering, the Souls to the Polls, that's actually a Sunday event. They've gone out there to the various religious entities and let them know that for that particular day, where it's the only Sunday before early voting closes, that we'll have that open for those particular groups specifically. And then last but not least, on March 9th through March 13th, we're rolling out or opening up the remaining early voting sites to the point of where we'll get to the 40 total vote centers open on election day. But this will get us for at least 8 days through the election. That 34 includes the 9 previously open right now. So that's, I think, as far as the early voting goes, that's the information we have to present to you, and let you know that we'll turn it back over with regards to specifically the agenda item, which is...
And Mr. Chairman,
Thank you, Ray.
if voters are curious about where those locations are, they can go to our website to locations.maricopa.vote for particular that weekend of 3/7 and 3/8 for the Souls to the Polls. Those locations, one will be located in Surprise, the other will be at the Surprise City Hall, then the Burton Bar Library, and then out at our Mesa Recorders and Elections Office. So that's where those 3 locations are going to be open that weekend. So as far as the appointment of and compensation of election boards, this is the agenda item, and the reason we're coming before you for these 2 items, the first item is to update the compensation rates. The last time that they were updated, and I do have a handout, but it was in 2019, and that was before the minimum wage increased. And then because of that minimum wage increase going to $12 per hour, that has required us to update our salaries for all of our poll workers accordingly. Also, we are hiring 1,600 poll workers, and I'll get to exactly where we are on the next slide for this presidential preference election. And so the board will be approving our poll worker roster. However, we're not fully staffed at this point in time. We're making great progress, and we will, all in likelihood, have several of our poll workers fall out between now and then due to various reasons. So at the end of the election, before the canvass, we'll provide an updated roster to the clerk's office, so that will be on file. And this agenda item gives me that ability to appoint those poll workers, or those additional poll workers that we'll be recruiting over the next 3 weeks, and any replacements that we may need during that time frame.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Bill. Thanks so much for the presentation. Both of you have been very interesting already. What's the drop dead date? Are you done hiring people, or if not, when's the last date that you'll be hiring people, in case there are people out there who would like to get involved?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Gates, we actually can hire right on election day from the line. However, we're deploying methodologies and strategies to try to avoid that. We're hiring, and I'll go ahead and move to the next slide, which answers some of those questions. And I did provide in your handouts an updated number as of late Friday. The slides here were provided Thursday afternoon, but we're hiring 20 backup inspectors, that if people were to fall out right before the election, that we would have those inspectors available that went through our training. However, it's not unusual for us that last week before the election to have 10 to 20% of our poll workers sort of turn over. So we are hiring right up into that last moment, but our last training is occurring that last week before the election, that last Saturday. So we'd like to have all of them hired, and that is our goal. That's the goal that we're looking to hit. And right now we're at 82% hired. According to our recruiting team, normally we're about 65% hired at this point, so we're up 17%, as well as having an additional position per voting location. We went from 6 to 7. So even though we've hired that additional position, we're still hitting our 82%, which is higher than normal.
Yeah, Jack.
Is the wage rate any obstacle for you in hiring people right now?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Sellers, that is, in talking to our recruiting team, one of the biggest obstacles is we're competing with the Census Bureau at this point in time, and we've had quite a few of our poll workers that we initially hired call us and said that they accepted a job with the census and they can no longer work for us, or because of the campaigns that are still in process. And we might be able to pick up some poll workers if some of those candidates fall out, but the campaigns are paying pretty well as well. So we've lost a few of our poll workers that traditionally worked for us that are working now at those campaigns in the census.
So,
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just on the line management clerk, so it looks like that's lagging definitely when compared to the other. Just some people don't want to do that job, or it's a new one, they don't really know what it involves. What do you think?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Sellers, that you're exactly right on a couple points. One is it's a brand new job and people aren't quite sure what that entails. And when we've explained that to them, they're not wanting to work outside for majority of the day.
Oh, that's
So we are working through maybe rotating that with the marshal position, because the marshal also provides security and works outside of the polls. So as far as the marketing of what this position will look like moving forward, so that's one of the challenges. We also started a little bit later on the line management clerk because we wanted our county employees to fill that role. And we've had a really good turnout. Mr. Chairman's email, what was soliciting, we had about 350 county employees respond to that email. We're working through and contacting those. Some of the challenges with the county employees are from the ones that work and report up to the county manager, Joy Rich. They're provided the ability to take civic duty pay. But some of the other county employees that report to the elected officials or the judicial branch, they're requiring them to take PTO. Some of the county employees that out of the 350 didn't have enough PTO to take, so they'd be going without pay. So that's one challenge that we're working through, is trying to make sure that they can still work and not have to take PTO. So maybe it's worth a contact to those other elected officials and the judicial branch to see if they would reconsider that,
okay.
that I guess, department policy.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just real quickly, going back to, I do agree in terms of the line management, maybe moving forward. Sometimes it's marketing it, you know, the different title. Maybe we do have two. I was thinking more inspectors, but maybe it is two marshals. That you have two marshals. I like that idea. Back and forth. One managing more inside, one. But in terms of like we're not the only state that has, or county that has, or other states.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Gallardo, it is really, ours are set based on statute that we're supposed to pay an hourly rate. So some states pay a stipend to work the polling locations. Some pay very similar rates to us, and they're usually right around what minimum wage is for that state. I also wanted to point out that we are hiring bilingual poll workers for our polling locations. We're up to 237 bilingual poll workers. Now, we don't have one for every location, even though we have 229 locations, 237 bilingual poll workers, but there's some areas that are traditionally have a higher number of Spanish-speaking population associated or right around that polling location. And what we're adding 2 or 3 bilingual poll workers in those locations to make sure that they accommodate the need. But our goal is to have nearly one at every location if needed. And as far as our poll worker training, so we are nearly wrapping up our early voting training for our poll workers. As Mr. Valenzuela pointed out, that on E8 or just after March 9th, we will be opening up the remaining of those 34 vote centers, those early voting centers. So this week is our last week to provide early voting training. So out of the 210 poll workers that will be working that location, we've trained over 170. But this week, and just this past Saturday, we kicked off our election day training for all our poll workers. So we'll be hiring and training 1,407. So that's going to require us to basically 5 or 6 days a week to have at least 2 classes going on every day. Some days we'll have 3 or 4 to be able to provide that in-person training option. We've also have training going on not just at our McTech facility, but throughout the valley. So we have training in our Surprise City Hall and in their library that they've offered that to us. We have a few options there. We have some training going on Paradise Valley, some training in Estrella Park. We're at the Nature Center, so we've partnered with our Parks Department to be able to provide training at that facility, also as well as Gilbert. We've also relied on, in keeping up with the philosophy of one county, we relied on our learning and management team that reports up to the county manager, Joy Rich, and Jan, and Mr. Mark McCall, and some of his team are assisting with providing some of our facilitators to make sure that we could provide all of those in-person training options. And then I also wanted to highlight that we introduced a brand new computer training program, or computer-based training, and it's very well received by our poll workers, and it has right now a score of 4.6 out of 5 from the survey responses. So it's about a 92% score. And there's been, I think, only one person that provided a score below a rating of 4, and they provided a 3, but no commentary on exactly what it was their concern was.
Gallardo.
Any questions about our training to date?
It's great.
Both Mr. Valenzuela and I wanted to provide just an update on security.
On the training, did you guys have any comments from people that have worked in previous years and found out that maybe that this, I mean, it was such a high score, I would assume that maybe some have said there has been a little bit of a difference, you know, going to this type of model of training. Did you get any feedback in that regard?
Mr. Chairman, we have received very positive feedback with regard to our online training and that providing that accessibility. However, that has been a challenge for some of our poll workers, that they don't have a computer in their home or a smartphone to be able to access that. So we are inviting them to come down to McTech, so when they come through that in-person training, they can also take the computer-based training. So that's been, I think, one of the challenges. Another challenge was when we disseminate the information to our poll workers. It comes from the county's learning management system, the hub, and there was some initial confusion on, is this an official email coming from the elections department? So we're working with the learning and management team to change the title of that email, so they are expecting it. And then also our recruiting team, when they're recruiting the poll workers, they're letting them know that they're going to be receiving an email from the hub, the learning management system. So that's addressed some of those concerns.
Okay.
So with elections, there's lots of concerns about security, and we want to just highlight what some of those areas of security are, ways that we are doing what we're doing to ensure that there's integrity and security over our elections process. I don't know if Ray, if you wanted to take the first couple bullets here and talk about some of those items.
Yeah, Chairman, members of the board, and just to point out that you know, as we go through some of these, a lot of it is circles around the fact that we've been partnering with a lot of agencies. ACTIC, Department of Homeland Security just came and did an assessment. I mean, and some of the stuff that we are grateful to have taken out of this as far as security, because it is a big thing. But even before I go down this list, I want to point out that we recently, part of the voter registration totals have indicated, and there's a statewide agency that's looking at certain numbers, that Maricopa County's moved up from the 3rd to the 2nd largest voting population county. So it's a good feather in our cap, but it also puts a lot of burden on us to say that's a big responsibility behind LA County's 5 million, that we are actually, again, Harris County's still in there, but we're the 2nd largest county. Part of that is requires us to be very diligent on some of this process. I did also want to point out that the Election Assistance Commission, which is the federal commission that certifies our tabulation equipment, they too are actually scheduled, because of our growth and continued growth, they actually have opted to move their standards board meeting here in April, which is 110 members of 2 from every state. So the kind of recognition we're getting is great. And again, a feather in the cap for the county, but it puts a lot of burden on us, and that's why we segue into where to make sure you guys are aware of what we're doing to maintain the integrity of this election. So part of it is, again, as you're aware, and we're grateful with regards to the new tabulation equipment. That is, we have been continually processing through this. We've done pilots, we've done this, but our greatest thing and accomplishment is it was just recently certified through the Secretary of State with regards to a logic and accuracy test. So they came out and tested for the early voting prior to the day before, and we're certified. We have an additional certification coming up on March 2nd for the central count, which is where we tabulate all the early ballots, the million, in a general, but in this case, whatever return rate. But know that that's in place. We also have just recently had a meeting with all the political parties, the recognized political parties. The Democrats, Republicans, Libertarian chairs came in, and we asked them to be, once again, to be part of this process, because without them, checks and balances don't exist. They all have committed and agreed to provide party observers for this whole process, to include the presidential preference. Even though it is just a Democrat only, the integrity there needs those checks and balances. So the Republican Party and the Libertarian Party have indicated that they will be providing those political party observers.
Bill.
Mr. Chair, just a question on that, Ray, and for Scott. So again, the observers, that's something that's recognized under Arizona law by party observers. But when you have a contested primary like this, if each one of the campaigns wants to have an observer there available both at the polling places and at MCTEC, how are you guys handling that?
That's a good question.
So, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Gates, there is a form that those chair can provide us with the list of names that it can improve who those observers can be out at the polling locations. But as far as the tabulation center, the parties themselves, they can send their one representative to observe at MCTEC. So, and is it 2?
It's 2.
It's 2.
But even Chair, Supervisor Gates, if I may add to it, that the statute allows the county chair of each party to be that driving authorized entity. So if a national campaign wanted to, they would go through the county chair. We would not or do not authorize poll observers but they can go to the county chair. They can get that credential to the county chair, and they can observe a polling place. At the tabulation center is only one we put some restrictions to 2 observers, just because of the ballot tabulation center and maintaining that integrity. So each of those parties can, but it still would go through the county chair. And just to know, in that meeting, there are multiple places for them to observe, not just at ballot tabulation center. They can come in and look at the early voting processing. We have a section quarantined off for them to do that. The signature verification. So at the MCTEC facility, there's about 4 opportunities for poll or observers to look, but it would still, once again, go through the county chair.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Gates, not only are they given the opportunity to observe, but they are given the opportunity to participate in the process. So, and that's through the item 3 from the bottom, the hand count audit. So we do have the political parties. They appoint those members to participate on that hand count audit board, and that's where they go through and they select 2% of all the precinct-based tabulation or ballots that have been tabulated at the precinct, as well as 1% of all the early vote ballots that are tabulated, and then they do an independent blind count, hand count audit of those ballots, and then those results are compared back to how the machines were tabulated. Also, other security highlights are badge access. We really locked down, and right now our MCTEC facility is under lockdown. Only employees that need access and as part of one of their job responsibilities or provide oversight over the ballot tabulation center are allowed access at this point, or if they serve a role, one of the political parties for observers for the upcoming logic and accuracy tests. We also provide on our website a live video feed that's 24/7, 365 days a year, that any member of the public can go and see what's going on in our BTC or tabulation center. So that's a good place of providing assurance that if people were concerned and they wanted to go out there and see what's exactly happening in the tabulation center, they can. And then we also went through recently, the Recorder's Office partnered with our Office of Enterprise Technology, the Secretary of State. We went through a 2-day cybersecurity training where we performed tabletop exercises and simulated if we were to be hacked and something were to interrupt our voter registration database, how would we respond? And it was a really great opportunity for us to provide some error handling and figure out how we would. And then we, since then, have gone through and met with our emergency management team, and they've come down and also provided us some options and helping us really build out our continuous operations plans. And the last item that we wanted to cover today is what voters should know. And we briefly highlighted the Chandler-Tempe voters in those jurisdictional elections, and just remind those voters that there are those 4 voting options that are in Chandler City Hall, Mesa, McTech, and then also the Pyle location. We also have B-ballot ready. So if you want to go out there and you're a voter and you want to determine if you're eligible to vote in this presidential preference election, what's on your ballot, where your voting location is, you can go to bballotready.vote and get your customized dashboard. Voters will have 41 voting options, in addition to if they were on the Pebble or if they request an early ballot before the 11th or 11 days before the election. It will be those 40 vote centers plus their 1 assigned voting location. We will be having a line management clerk, as we discussed, and I provide you a copy of the handout that we will be providing at every polling location. This handout was designed to describe what the presidential preference is. It's really confusing, and a lot of voters don't understand what it is, who's eligible to vote, what the law states about that, and then also it provides them that phone number and also a little QR code that if they wanted to use their smartphone, that they could provide us feedback, or if they had concerns about their experience at the voting location. We provide this in both English and Spanish at all of our voting locations.
Steve.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Scott, how did we explain before, if you look at your slide, the second portion of it where you have the option 2 scratched out? And maybe Ray, you might better answer this. I don't know. What would we say prior to construct that we have elections? Would we encourage people to just draw a line? Because I know we had the issue with the old system of picking out ballots if they weren't. Why wouldn't we just print a new ballot?
Chairman, Supervisor Chukri, actually it's a perfect question, and it's a good segue into our next talk, or why we're presenting this, is that our old system, the limitation of that particular system required that we've talked tons of this, we would duplicate the whole ballot for an issue like this. So we didn't encourage in the arrow ballot. The reason being is we didn't have electronic adjudication, that system. So if we told them, they came in, we would have 12 minutes. We already had 130,000 ballots that we had to do this to times 12 minutes. If we encouraged that, then it would have came back and 100% of those ballots would have had to been duplicated. In this case, what we're encouraging voters, not just for this election, but the other election, it becomes the ability to do a single office adjudication. Means if even though this is a single PPE race, one office, but it had multiple races, we couldn't survive that in the arrow ballot environment. With this one, this particular ballot, we can do electronic adjudication, focus in and narrow in right to that office and say they crossed this out, so they obviously didn't intend, and we can accept the other oval as it's been completed. So there's a big win here, thanks again to the board and to the funding of this new system that will allow us to do this oops, if you will. In the past, we could not. And one thing that we want to point out is, which was harmful to the voter in the arrow ballot circumstance, we would ask you to spoil it and request another. So it could take 3 to 4 days before we got you another ballot. This one, the beauty of it is, it's a set of 3 to 4 days where you can literally say, I'm changing my mind, but we'll take that. Our system now will allow us to outstack that digitally instead of physically, and not have to duplicate the whole ballot, but focus just on that adjudication of that one office.
And Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Chukri, also it's a cost savings. So it could be upwards of $3 to $4 per ballot to send that voter a new ballot. So now we keep it in their hand. They wait till, for this specific election. March 15th, 2 days, they watch the debate, and if they happen to have voted before that, rather than returning the ballot, we encourage them to then cross out that candidate's name and then select someone that maybe they've chosen differently.
And a question I have for you, Ray, when we're talking about, and then the translation to Spanish, we've had issues before about educating the voter when the ballot gets there based on, fill it out this way, and then we found out, well, that created some confusion. I think with people's names listed or maybe it was even a write-in part. I can't remember now. It's been 4 years ago, but are we making sure that everything that's translated or everything that's getting on that ballot and how to educate the voter for not just the day of, but early votes, that we're perfectly clear and we don't have to live through mistakes? Because I think if I can recall, it was up to almost like one person to look at it, and then we found out we were crossing our fingers a lot. Is it going through some different steps now to make sure everything is perfect and these things don't come up?
So,
Well, if I may, just Chairman, members of the board, you're absolutely correct in the fact that with our culture of heroes, where we had limited amount of staff, that we didn't have the resources we have now. We didn't have the robust comm team, fill the ballot, all these things that were out there proactively telling people about this oval ballot, this new feature. But you're 1,000,000% right with the new staffing. We have upwards of 3 to 5 comm staff's eyes on it. Megan Gilbertson is in our audience. She has done a yeomanship job of looking at all of our new materials coming in from a fresh perspective. But we have upwards of, on top of our translations folks, we have 2 on staff for the Spanish translation. I know we've had in the past where that was one person was looking at it. It's now a minimum of the 2 plus our certified translator company. So absolutely, everything we're looking at, not only are we looking at it for a proofing standpoint, but we're looking at it for a perfection standpoint to say, how do we communicate better to these voters? Like this particular feature is built in. This is a snippet right out of the early voting instruction that you're seeing there, that we're trying to, again, better communicate on top of being proactive, media and all that, but it definitely is running past multiple individuals built in this new culture and this new structure.
And not just, PP is one thing, but with the amount of that, what I lived through in Peoria, the jurisdictional elections and names and stuff. So that will be going through a more robust process as well to stop, because I know there's ballot challenges, signature challenges, and are we looking towards that too?
Chairman, member of the board, actually, we were just speaking about that earlier before the meeting started, that we are on the 4th holding a meeting of the attorneys. Okay. To have them come in so we can both educate where we're coming from for those challenge periods, what we're expecting of them, what our deadlines are, and then what they're expecting of us with regards to those challenges. But the key thing is putting those ducks in a row, and we absolutely do have since the Peoria, which I'm familiar with, you're speaking, a candidate being removed and then put back on, then that stuff has now gotten several different layers of checks and balances and sign-offs required from the attorneys and from our office. Before it was we had left out the attorneys, and they're the ones that are in court. So there is that checkpoints and added features, and again, we will be ironing that or flushing that even more on the 4th with regards to having that joint meeting.
Perfect. Great to hear.
Mr. Chairman, that brings up to a term that I've become really fond of lately, and that is redundancy. And normally you would think that redundancy is sort of a negative term, but not when it comes to elections, because redundancy provides that not only that additional layer of oversight, but that Plan B or Plan C, if Plan A or Plan B were not to go as intended. So with the additional resources that we currently have in the elections department, more than doubling the size of the staff, we now have that level of redundancy needed to help ensure that we have those processes in place and those duplicate efforts to make sure our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted.
Awesome. Good news. Okay.
And then we just wanted to highlight out that on the Secretary of State's website, and we have a link from our current website, but it shows which candidates are currently still on the ballot. So we printed a ballot based on December 15th drawing, and in Arizona there's no second chance voting. So if you're voting that ballot and you choose to vote for one of those candidates that has withdrawn or suspended, we wanted to make sure that those voters are aware that there is a list on the Secretary of State's website. They can go find out who is still in this race. They're updating it daily based off of who's officially submitted paperwork. Those would be candidates that have officially withdrawn from the race, or if they've just made public acknowledgments that they've suspended their candidacy from this race. And then we are, just like all the other 15 counties in Arizona, we're using that list to create flyers to post that information in the polling location, so those voters would have that information if they decided to vote in person.
If I, Chairman and members of the board, if I just add a little bit to that, that there is a little bit of a discussion with regards to, it's not normal to have suspended candidates. Meaning if you're running for office, unless you've passed or something, you usually don't just decide. In this nature of this election, we have quite a few, and I know as board members, your constituents we're getting it already. Why are you sending me this ballot with Delaney, with Julian Castro and all that? Because as co-director Jarrett said, we had to print, that ballot was certified and was printed prior to any of these dropping out. So, but the one thing I want to point out is that that site, the Secretary of State has opted to list both withdrawn and suspended, which I think to some degree benefit, but note that for your constituency, one, we couldn't get them off the ballot because the ballots are pre-printed, but there is a note and will be posted online that says these two, right now there are only 2 official withdrawn. They will not be tabulated, they will not be reported, but there are 7 suspended, which will be reported. But again, they're not, they themselves have indicated, so there's when you see, if anybody sees that site, why do you have the difference? There's a legal term with that withdrawn and versus the suspended, because they officially have not said they would cancel their election. So in case for your constituency that you'll see those 9, it could be 10 by today, but whatever that may be.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, list, imagine that after this Saturday and Super Tuesday, there'll be additional candidates that are going to step aside. If they're not, they should. But nonetheless,
No.
I got my own list of candidates. I think they should, like, okay, you did your best. Now move on. But will that list be available? Are we going to have some type of posting? If a voter comes on election day on the 17th, how would they know?
So, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Gallardo, absolutely. So in every polling location, we will have an updated list, and we're sending that out even to our early voting locations at this point. So as we get new information from the Secretary of State, and they're alerting us when there's a change, but we could also go to that website. We're updating that listing that shows the ones that officially withdrawn or versus suspended, and that's being updated on a daily basis.
And Chairman, Supervisor Gallardo, just on the logistical point, we are literally daily watching. The Secretary of State has committed to update us instantly when something is added, so we don't. But when we get that, we will reprint that notice for the early voting, as an example, and we will run that out there to the 9 sites that are open right now, and we'll continue to do that on a daily basis. More specifically, after the Super Tuesday, I'm sure that we'll have a change in that list. But hopefully on Election Day, there isn't anything between us, so to speak, that a candidate would, whoever is going to withdraw, whether they're your list of ones you want to withdraw or not, but I mean, whoever is going to withdraw, we should have that list locked down for Election Day at the very least, because there isn't one in between that us and Super Tuesday.
If we're finding during the PPE that there's 1 or 2 locations that are currently open that are being way underutilized, is that going to have an effect for your group to come and tell us maybe this isn't a great site to have open for the primary and general? Are you guys looking into that?
Chairman, board members of the board, for early voting purposes, and I'll let Scott speak to the election, but the early voting is the one that is data driven. Those are the sites that we want, and we've looked at the heat maps, we've looked at, so you're absolutely correct. Now, some of it may be this, we'll get some data from this presidential preference, but it's slanted to the fact that it's only the Democratic Party. So if you went there and said, oh, that's not going to be a good site, Paradise Valley is not going to be great for a site. And you could get there with this data, but we know we're enough to look at this data to say, when we have a balance there, will it or will it not be utilized. So there's some benefit to the data, just it's got a little bit kind of leaning.
Well,
Yeah.
I just wondered if we're gonna see that data and the report after this PP, if you're gonna submit that to us so we can see.
Chairman and members of the board, we definitely do have these 229 locations demographically plotted out so that we at least hit where we know the heat map is. But on top of that, we're not, not putting something out in Paradise Valley and all of those areas. So it is still a good representation of the county. But again, some of the people that are participating may not be able to get us that. If that site is underutilized, it may be intentional. But we know how many registered voters are in that precinct, and so we'll be able to adjust that to say, but the ones we will focus on are the ones that are primarily Democrat.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chairman, Ray's correct. We are using data to drive our decisions. We're currently going through that process of looking at the primary and the general, and developing those forecasts now. We won't rely heavily on the presidential preference election to drive those decisions because it is Democrats only, as well as from an early voting standpoint. People are likely to hold on to that ballot till the very end, so that wouldn't be indicative of what those early voting turnout would really look like in a primary or general election.
Okay.
But so the data points that we will gather from this election, though, are very valuable for 4 years from now, when we start identifying, well, what would that presidential preference look like, and and how many polling locations should we have 4 years from now?
Great, thank you.
I didn't know if there was more in the presentation of this. I have another. Oh, there you go. No, so I would imagine, and this, I was thinking about this when Nevada was doing a similar issue arise as Iowa. Our early voting sites, something arises. I'm assuming there's a phone number, or we'll have I know on election day there's I don't know or someone can call for help. I don't know, hotline, I guess. I'm assuming there's a hotline or somewhere. Something was to happen while they're voting early, whatever, at one of the sites. There's somewhere to call.
So, Mr. Chairman,
There's only 40 sites.
Supervisor Carter, that's correct, and it is the number, and we'll have this available online, but it's also on our website. It's in
Who answers that phone?
the Star Call Center answered this phone, and then they relay that information to us through an election reporting system, so then we can respond appropriately.
So if I'm an employee or a worker at the vote center, something happens, I call this number?
Oh, so, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Gardo, clarification. If you're a voter, you'd call this number. If you are a poll worker, we have a poll worker hotline that they will call, and we don't advertise that number because we don't want the voters to call that.
Obviously. So, and on election day, exact same number.
So on election day, so the early voting is calling our vote center hotline right now, and then there's a separate number, and those on election day, those vote centers will still call that vote center hotline. On election day, if you're a polling location, you'll call the polling location hotline. And the reason we do that is because the vote centers have ballot on demand printers, which is a different type of technology in the polling location, and it could create different types of questions. So that's why we established those two separate hotlines.
And where I'm coming from now, both in Iowa and Saturday, they all had hotlines. They didn't work. They didn't. It was shut down. They couldn't get through. Iowa, a little bit different, but Nevada saw the exact same thing. They had a backup plan, though. I'm not too sure. Oh, Keely.
I'm sorry, these guys might not. We actually are working with the Star Call Center. and
Keely?
Come over
Yeah,
there.
Come on, come up, yeah.
Hear it.
I'm sorry, I don't even know if you guys have been on this recently. So, Mr. Chairman, members, we actually are working with the Star Call Center and OET and some of our disaster response partners already to make sure that we have capacity for it to get larger than typical and to be able to recognize if someone's trying to intentionally jam it. And so those meetings are happening right now. So we will have something in place by election day.
Okay. I just wanted, it came up on Saturday. I'm watching all these elections and just seeing how things work out and what pops up as possible problem. But that was another thing that popped up on Saturday. I said, that down Nevada was prepared and they had an alternative method, but Iowa saw the exact same thing.
Chairman, Supervisor Gardner, if I may add, on top of that, the fact is that us being now the second largest county, we have gone through a very robust election. So those hotlines have been tested to the point of having a general election 2018, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Green. So we know the volume that they can handle, so it's not so much of the outage. We're already there. We just need to make sure that we're doing something even better, which I think we've also failed to point out that what we handed out here, this QR code and this need help.maricopa.vote is our simplest way of basically got milk. It's a short message. They will be at the polling places posted. So we no longer want voters to, not that they can't, their independent choice, to go to Facebook or Twitter to say, I'm having a problem. We want them to, right there at the polling place, there will be a sign that says need help. And if you actually scan this now or go there, there's actually an immediate survey. So you can do not just call. You can actually have another resource. Esri app is what it actually is a GIS application. You can actually submit saying the border workers were rude, and it will use your location. You can tell us which polling place, and we will get that instantly. It bypasses the Star Center, comes directly into our reporting system. So we do have the call, and we do have this immediate application that comes to us. So there's two redundant, back to the beauty of that word, redundant, need help atmospheres.
And I do think, Mr. Chairman, I think the one question that only because a lot of these voters are going to go to the church, they're going to go to the school where they've been voting for 30 years, and come to find out it's been moved to a consolidated.
Chairman.
229.
Yeah, so we've consolidated. So I think that's going to be the number one question. They know where they go vote, and for this particular election, because it is a unique election, they're going to go to their church, and it's not going to be there. Where do I go to vote?
Chairman, Supervisor Gallardo, we glanced over some of the things that we are doing, and one of the ones was the sample ballot. It indicates their sample ballot mailed 11 days prior. We're on top of being proactive with media campaign to know that this sample ballot will go out to every voter who hasn't voted early ballot or requested an early ballot, and it will get specifically their assigned plus the benefit of the locations.maricopa.vote, which will say you got this assigned one or any of these other 40. So we're going to try to be very proactive in letting them know they have 41 options on election day. It may not be the church they're used to going to because of the requirement to consolidate, but that sample ballot will serve that purpose of notifying them. We've redesigned it. Again, I keep touting our comms team that redesigned that so that it's just pretty simple. It's very took out a lot of the legalese that was in there. I apologize to the attorneys for that. But we wanted to keep it simple, and you'll see when we get that, we can actually send you a sample if you want. There's some that's required in statute, but I just want to point out that mailer, on top of our media campaign.
And I get it. I mean, we could do everything we can. They're always going to have a certain segment of our electorate that are not going to know. But nonetheless, I just think that's going to be the one. I did receive my early ballot this week, so thank you. I do have it. I'm going to wait till the 17th to vote and walk it in. No, I'm joking.
Bill, did you have something?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thanks. So just a thought on the phone number. I mean, that's great, and I understand we want to drive people to phone calls, but we've got a whole new generation, especially in this election. We've got a whole new generation. My daughter doesn't answer her phone, all right, and she's a voter now. And there's a lot of people in this age. So
could be who's calling them.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Could be. What I heard you say, Ray, is that if you hit the QR code, so is that the only way? If I just wanted text, so how else can I, other than DMing, which they're going to do? They're going to DM Maricopa Vote and Recorder Fontes.
I think I'll take this one because we've found obviously that a huge number of people communicate with us on election day via the social media sites, and we now have a new set of social media sites that Megan and her folks have set up. So we're still working through that, but I think you will probably have 10 to 12 people monitoring social media sites between the recorder's office and the election sites, and those will be busy all day. From our experience in 2018, we needed that kind of workload, that kind of staffing in order to be able to keep up with them.
That's good to hear, and I actually think for those of us on this side of the table, we ought to be doing the same because we'll probably get that too, So Because they're gonna, whatever the site is, oh, that's who I know, they're not gonna know these folks.
Bill, would you like to provide your phone number to the voter?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Gates, we are partnering with the county's communications team and several communications officers from the other departments that are as Keely described, come assist with monitoring those accounts. And then we're looking at what we'll set up here on the 10th floor for communicating with you all on, and so you can have that information available to you as well. And then as far as not just the QR code, but the website there itself, people could type that in and then be able to report information to us using their smartphone rather than getting on the phone and actually calling us.
Well, everybody, we have an executive session coming up, so any further questions? Thank you, guys. I wanted to thank, for the board, I'm sure, but I would like to thank you guys, Keely, Ray, Scott. I appreciate the partnership that Recorder Fontes has been showing through this process. I appreciate you guys clearing out your schedule and continuing to come here and keep our board informed. Prior to the election, run up, after, what did we learn? Here we go into the next one. I appreciate you guys taking the time to keep us informed for our questions. So,
Mr. Chairman, to show you what a class act Ray is, his cufflinks actually match his tie. That's how coordinated this election will be.
Scott, Chairman, members of the board, Scott dressed me.
all right. Very good. We need to vote on item number 1, so I'll be looking for a motion then.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item number 1, the appointment of election boards and compensation rates.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much, everybody.
Good job.
Good job.
Voting number 2, then I need a motion to go into executive session, I
So
believe.
moved, Mr. Chairman.
A motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Executive needs to move into Sullivan.